on top. Always. All right, let's try this again. What's happening, my friends out there in YouTube land? Yours truly, Rockin' Dave, the real deal. North Fort Myers, Southwest Florida. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I could see who's in the chat. All right. Ephraim, what's happening, my friend? Old man Dan, what is happening, brother? Randy Tritt, how you doing, brother? Hey, Randy, I want to send condolences for you, brother. I know what you're going through, and that's really tough, man. It is a very, very hard thing to go through. And they say time heals everything. It does take time, but trust me, you'll get through it. But man, it's really feel as well with you. New year too. That's awesome. I do like that Paul Reed Smith you have. You just got I think it's a walnut finish, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe it's koa wood. I remember they did do a limited run. Gibson had a walnut finish Les Paul. Back in the day, late 70s and early 80s, they had what was known as the Firebrand series, and that's when they just branded the headstock with the Gibson logo. And they had 3-4 versions. They had I had one for a very short time called the Paw, and it was all walnut. But then they had the SG, either you get in walnut or mahogany. They had the Les Paul, which is called the Paw. Then the SG. Then they had one that was like a solid body version of the 335. Yeah, it's a 2008 Cornell. Yeah, with Brazilian board. Yeah, that's right. And I do remember. Yeah, Randy Tritt, you're welcome, brother. Yeah, losing both parents in less than 4 years, it's man, it's a bit too much. It really is. It really, really is. I did try to go live a little earlier. Well, actually a few minutes ago, But once again, they changed the settings, and Deb had helped me. I'll tell you what, my friends, I love this platform, but I would never rely on it for money. No freaking way, man. When things change, you know what I mean, and doesn't always work. I mean, you got to be a little loony to say, I'm going to leave all my solid source of income and just do this. And then it constantly flip flops and change. No way, man. Mm-mm. So, but yeah, I appreciate y'all tuning in. And yeah, 10 years ago today, we bought this at the Guitar Center in Naperville, Illinois, which is the far west suburb of Chicago. And I think we got it for like a 1 day sale. It was, they list at 46. This is the Les Paul Plus. And it listed for 46. And then they always go on sale for like 3,000, $29.99, 3,000. But the 1 day it just went down. They remember the manager, Don was his name, told Deb, yeah, they're thinking about dropping the price down to $18.99 because in 2014, the new Les Pauls were coming out, and even though this is 2013, they had to push the inventory, and I guess 2014 was their 125th anniversary, so they were going to flood the stores with their 125th anniversary models, and then try to push these out as fast as they can. Well, I don't know how. I think that sale was maybe a day. It was a real short amount of time. And sure enough, Don called us and said, hey, they dropped the price down to $18.99. And I did tell Deb, I said, yeah, you said if it dropped down to $18.99, we would pounce it. Because Deb said, there's no way you're going to drop it from $3,000 down to $18.99. That vast of a drop in sales for a sale there, And they did, and then we pounced on it. And when this came in, it came directly from the Gibson factory. And Don took a picture of it, sent me the picture, and said, yeah, it's here, man, if you want to pick it up. Yeah, pricing is nuts. It's crazy. Well, you know what's really worse? Is jewelry. Gold. Man. There is a place I just hear advertised on the radio, International Diamond Center. And I remember when we were on the cruise ship, you buy your diamonds off the cruise ship, International Diamonds. I'm thinking, shit, that's when we were living up. Hey, Pooh Ninja, what's happening, brother? Thank you for tuning in, man. Yeah, they really are. The prices are crazy. But Diamonds International, I'm thinking, oh my God, that, because they're in Florida. See, when we were on the cruise ship, so we were still living up in Illinois. So it's, you find things out when the new places that you move to, Takes a little while, but yeah, this guitar has been great, man. I was never a fan of what they call top wrapping, if you could see this, but it has helped me for string breakage. And to me, yeah. I'm sorry guys if I'm squinting. It's the screen seems getting smaller and smaller, man. I know it's been a little while since I was live from the studio here, and mostly we're doing our live gigs. We're back in action Monday. I wasn't feeling well. It just broke my heart, man. I'm like, damn. The first day of the first of the year, and I had to cancel a gig, And I never liked doing that. But there was no way, man. There was no way I was going to, risk collapsing. That's how bad I felt. There's no way. So, let's see. If I do this, will the comments come in? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, diamonds. Yeah. The markup is incredible. It's unreal. Yeah, Puna, the markup on gold and diamonds is like, geez. It's like back then, it was like a 300% markup. Now it's even worse. Yeah, so I hope everyone's is doing well. I hope 2024 is gonna look better than 2023. That's starting out the first year not feeling well. I'm hoping that it's gonna get better. It can only do one thing and go up. Yeah, we're still using our GT1. I know Boss came out with the IR2, the little compact pedal, which I think is great. I mean, you probably could little foot switches. I got the foot switches here for this RC5 loop station that could go up and down. Programmers, you probably do the same thing with that with the IR2. But I do know from the videos I've seen, the foot switch will do a dual function thing. So whatever amp and capstan you got, it'll do clean sound and it's dirty sound. And then of course you could dirty up the clean sound, you know, as well. So it's like a little channel switching amp. I think it's kind of a game changer. And I think you get something like 11 amps. And I forget what video I seen. I think it was Anderton's when him and Danish Pete were saying, you know, what's cool with Boss is that they like to be Boss. They really, you know, they're gonna dab a little bit into the amp simulators and that, you know, but they really have their own thing. And I think Lee said something to the effect that, well, if it says like it's supposed to duplicate a Fender Twin, it doesn't really do the Fender Twin too good. But when you put it on the clean sound, it sounds great. Let's see. Yeah, fireworks mark. Yeah. Oh yeah, 100. It's crazy. Yeah. Then yeah. I know we had fireworks go off down here. It's crazy. When we bought this guitar, it was freezing. It was snow everywhere. Today, we have our Florida cold weather. I didn't realize this. When the first year we were down here, I was kind of like laughing, you know, like, geez, these people think it's cold and it's only 60 degrees, man. And for us Chicagoans, that's kind of warm, you know. But when you live down here long enough, you get acclimated with the weather. And when you're used to 90 plus weather all the time, now when it gets into 70 and in the 60s, you start to feel it, you know. It's a little crazy. But I'll tell you what, this is I want to really talk something really quick with the I think it was Jason Stallworth. He's a great guitar player. He's another Floridian. He was in the Bradenton area, I believe. But he had made a comment about, you know, and I do like playing the Ibanez RGAs and all, and the RG series and that. But with the Les Paul, it's always deemed hard to shred on. I think part of it is if you have a lot of delay on or a lot of compression, a lot of gain, it's like the notes over. You get these overtones. Unless you could do legato playing, you know. But for staccato or, you know, having a really, you know, fast alternate picking, you know, the thing is with these guitars, the way that they're made, you're gonna always have, I call it like overtone, even when you're not plugged in. It's just the way that they're built. The secret is backing down on the gain and on the reverb, or if you got a lot of reverb and delay. Now, I'll use delay on there. Okay, but if I turn it off here. So, I think that's what the issue is with these guitars. Now, Deb and I were talking about in time. It's not going to be tomorrow, so it'll be a while down the road. Contacting Gibson and either having a custom Les Paul built. It's going to cost some money. We'll just put money aside for it to the specs that I want. Debating either another Les Paul or a Flying V, because I used to have a Flying V back in 1983. That 40 years ago. Oh, yeah. And the one I had, it had the body binding, and it was a natural wood finish, and it had actually it had a little bit of lighter coloring on the mahogany in the back, and it did not have the mother of pearl Gibson logo, so it had the regular, I guess you call it sticker logo. Two volumes, one tone, no pick guard, and I had that guitar for a little while, and then a friend of mine, because the back of the headstock it had the word second. He's maybe he didn't we didn't understand back then, but it had the word second on it, so we thought it was scrap wood. I'm like, it's not really worth anything. But it was a great guitar. It had the open coil pickups, and they were the cream color. And then I traded it for the Fender Twin with the Altec speakers. Yeah, I think that's what I got. Yeah, because I still had my Ibanez Artist, my old Ibanez Artist, so I wasn't really hurting there. Only had the two guitars and then the acoustic, and but yeah, I missed that guitar, so I'm kind of debating. I'll cross that bridge, but yeah, we'll go up to Nashville, Tennessee, to the Gibson garage. Hopefully by that time they're gonna still be open. I think what Gibson did with opening up that garage, I think that's one of the smartest things they've ever done. You know, and I know they went through a lot of quality control issues. And when you're spending a lot of money on the guitar, it should stay in tune and everything. And I definitely get that. But at the same time, and no one has to like Gibson. That's everyone's personal preference in that. But I do remember back in the day, when Hondo guitars were popular, they were copy guitars, and you know, you wanted to have something that was an original, a Fender Strat or a Les Paul, or a Flying V, or an Explorer. You really didn't have a whole lot to choose from. I mean, you had Ibanez. Ibanez was starting to come out on their own, but it wasn't nowhere near like today. And I remember when Charvel and Jackson guitars came out, and that was the rage. And then of course Kramer guitars. But I remember when Kramer guitars had the aluminum fretboard, the aluminum neck and fretboard. I think it was a painted fretboard and the tuning fork for the headstock. And I remember those guitars. But I'd go into the music store, Chicago Music Company. I'd see the Les Pauls lined up, and I'm like, man, I'd love to have one of those. And then took me a while to get one, but finally got one. Now the thing is, now everything's so readily available. You just have to have the cash for it, but it's not like it was back then. You had a very very limited amount of good companies. And that's why when I hear people on YouTube knocking some of the products that's out there now, I know it compared to also what we have out there. You got some good and bad. I wish I could take those people back in time. When I started playing, man, we didn't have much of anything. I remember Ross pedals. I remember, of course, Boss pedals. Ross with an R, and then Boss pedals. And MXR. And Ibanez with the tube screamer. But we were very limited. Very, very limited. So let's see how everyone is doing out here. Yeah, we will be going live again. Yeah, I am liking the Tone Master Pro. Yeah, that thing does sound good. I think that I see when guitar amps are doing that, especially with the Fender sound, because Fender amps are just so classic. They have a unique sound. Well, here's right here is the Fender Hot Rod Deluxe George Benson model, and that thing is great, man. That's the only tube amp I have. That's the first tube amp in 35 years, because the last one was my Fender Twin, and then prior to that was my Marshall Plexi 212 version. And but I think, see, now here I've got what would be similar to a Fender sound. The trick is Do I have the? Can I shut my delay off? No. Let's see. No. I'll just do it here. If I shut my delay off, is my reverb and compression. And the reverb I have on here is a little bit of a hall reverb. It's not the spring. But there's something special about the Fender spring reverb that, man, is just unmatched. But see, with that Tone Master, you're going to get, I think it is kind of pricey, but I think it's worth it. Because it's built like a tank. It's incredible. But you're going to get into those classic Fender amp sounds, man. You know, and I think Fender also had the Duo Sonic. You'll get close to a Marshall sound, but see, you're not going to get exactly the Marshall sound. You know, you go and you buy the Marshall, and you get, I know, with the amp modelers, I will say what is cool with them is that you get very, very close to some of these sounds and these tones. And it's so convenient, and it's one pedal board, and man, if you have to travel or anything, it's just so much easier. Because it's nuts enough getting on a plane, let alone with gear. Oh, what's going on now? See, he doesn't do it. See, I will never get along with this technology, man. And then, I mean, here, see, if you compare, if I were to get together with Old Man Dan and compare this GT1 to that Fender Tone Master, the Tone Master is going to blow this thing away. But I think the secret to all of this is how you EQ everything. And I think once it works fine. See, it's not that I don't want to spend the money. It's that I don't want to spend. I guess it really is I don't want to spend the money, you know? And if I could get something to work by spending less, that's fine, you know? But one thing with Fender's everywhere, Boss is everywhere. Some of these other products, man, they're killer, man. They're just killer. But man, and I never thought this would happen with Digitech, because Digitech's been around a long time. Digitech and DoD pedals. That's what if you couldn't afford the Boss pedals, you got the DoDs, you know. But seeing that happen to that company, it made me think. I mean, it could happen to any company, but that really kind of hit me. With like, okay, when stuff starts breaking, what I'm going to replace it with, because now the company's out of business, you know. Someone else had mentioned something to this effect too, that what they like about your standard brands like Boss and Yamaha, and even though I know Yamaha has the Helix, and I think that's what makes that Helix work so great, because you know Yamaha's a great company. You know, it's when you got these specialty products, if you're traveling and something breaks, you know, chances are you go to a music store, they're not going to have it. But one thing with Boss and MXR, and you know, they're always going to be, they're not like in the forefront. Even if some of their products are not sounding as good as the specialty brands, but you could get it to sound close to it, and you could get through those gigs that you need to. It's going to make a big difference, man. Real big difference, because there's nothing worse than you can't find certain things. But yeah, or at least maybe it's a little bit different now, but I know back not too long ago, some of those products were kind of hard to get. And when you're in that situation, it's like, okay, now what do I do? You know, it's kind of something to think about. Now, what makes the guitar, I've done this before, is the out of phase. You really hear it when you have the toggle switch in the middle. Then when you have the 12 tab. Now, if I pull out this bottom one, It bypasses the electronics. See, when we bought this, I remember I had a chance to buy any Les Paul except the customs. I think that was the only difference. But they only had like maybe one custom, and I think it was a black custom, if I remember. Maybe not even that. Mostly were standards. And I thought, I do like with the pick guard because I could rest my hand better on the pick guard. And then I remember looking at the Gary Moore model. And the Gary Moore model is their first version, I guess, of the Peter Greeny guitar. Peter Green, gave it to Gary Moore, and then Gibson came out with the Gary Moore signature model. And I thought, ooh, that'd be kind of grab. And maybe I should have grabbed that guitar. But what I like about this better is that if I want to have that classic out of phase, I got it with the switch. Now, maybe it's not going to be exactly like the Peter Green model or the Gary Moore model, but it's going to be dangerously close. So, should be pretty close, right? And then when I don't want that, I could switch it back and I get what we used to call the Gibson sound. Kind of a classic jazzy sound, but with more treble built into it. It's kind of hard to explain, but that's how we used to explain it back in the day. Just like if I got the coil tapping on this, and it sounds great, but it's not gonna sound like a Strat. A Strat has a very unique tone. So there's that's just that, right? But it is a beautiful finish. It's what they call the honey burst, and it's more of a rim burst as opposed to the teardrop, as you can see. And the flame really pops, man. And one thing I do like, personally, I like this finish better than the cherry finish. My friend Angel, he had this type of finish on his Les Paul. He had the Les Paul Heritage model. It was called Standard Heritage, and it was a teardrop. It didn't have a flame like this. This got a little bit of a tiger eye flame, and it's like I said, it's been a great guitar, man. You have to get used to things, and I have a hard picking hand, and it gets hot down here. So when I do pop strings, the only guitars I don't break strings on are the ones with the Floyd on it, because the way the string locks into the locking saddle there. I do know Gibson has the Alex Lifeson model Les Paul that has the Floyd on it and the out of phase, and then Epiphone had just released the Epiphone version. Gibson just released the Epiphone version of the Alex Lifeson, and I do remember Alex was doing a little demo with it. And great guitar, man. That wouldn't be a bad choice either. Back in the day, man, when you had, I remember when the Floyds came out and then Kahler came out. You put the Kahler on your Les Paul because you didn't have to take in much wood out, not like with the Floyd. But now that since Gibson's been doing that, they're gonna build. They know how to build their guitars. Every brand knows how to build their guitars. Let's see what we got here, guys. I can't see. Anyways, but yeah, I hope everyone is doing well, man. It has been a little while, and I'll get back with doing more live streams, when I can here. Like I said, we're scheduled to play on Monday. Hope it won't rain because a lot of these gigs are outdoors. Now we have another project which I'm not going to talk too much about until we have tested this other project that Deb and I are doing with the music here, and but we'll keep everyone posted. But when we do reveal it, you're going to say, "Oh, that makes sense," See, a lot of the gigs came back, and then they also diminished because with the insurance companies and everything else, it's a little bit still. It's gonna take a while to recover from the hurricane, man. The damage it did was just unreal, man. Like being in a disaster movie. It's like, holy crap! I've never seen anything like that in my life. And it's sad enough with the loss of life. That's hard, man. That's very hard to take. And then the second one is sad when you have damage to your home and that, and you have to, relocate. And then damage to your business, that's tough. And then when you have damage to your business, but it's still fixable, but now you're hit with these incredibly high bills, man. It's kind of a game changer, you know, because then people realize, damn, I don't have enough money that I thought I had. So, and then some of the clubs too, if they want to do their covers and that's fine. I'm not really opposed to doing too many covers, but I'm just a creative person. I just like doing my own music, and whether people like it or they don't, that's fine. It's not going to hurt my feelings. And I think everyone has a right to have their opinions. I really do, It's just, I have my opinions on like foods, and music. But to make yourself do something that your heart's not really into it, I don't know, man. That's just not for me. That's really not for me. Because to me, that's worse than working. It really is. Which, I'll do probably another live video on this topic about, should you leave your day gig for, playing in places. People are realizing after the hurricane, and even a little bit up in the Sarasota and Tampa area, because last year Hurricane Idalia hit up there, and we're all on the West Coast, and the insurance companies, they're going to cover the whole state, and multiple states. So when something happens and they got to kind of pull back with the funds, or there's an issue money wise, it affects. Of course, it's going to affect the business, and of course, it's going to affect people, who are playing there. So you have to kind of get creative with your finances and how you're going to make your money and things of that nature. You really do. And I think people are starting to realize that. They're starting to really realize it. Now I got hit my little Digitech drop. Now if I take it with the SY1 synth pedal. What's nice with this pedal, when you have your foot on it, it's just going to sustain. And of course, I get solo. Now I'm going to go ahead and loop that. So now I can do my volume swells. So if I want to erase that, let's see if it'll do it. Ah. So there's little things like that, you know. How you can set yourself up with loops is it really does help having separate loop pedals because just learning how to um, set your volumes so there's no these weird volume jumps because it happens. But you could have one looping as intros and letting that play while you get the other loop pedal set up for if you had tracks already into it. You recorded a loop track and you got that dedicated so you don't have to worry. The only thing you gotta be careful is your tuning because sometimes that happens, and especially if you're doing anything outdoors and you're at the mercy with the weather, you'll notice that you can have little issues. And the thing is, once you start the performance, sometimes you try to tune it up. The best thing to do is get as close as you can, get through the performance, because unless it's like so badly out of tune or so badly noticeable. Other than that, if it isn't, try to get through the performance because it's going to really look like there's something wrong if you draw attention to it. That's just how that works. But now, if I don't save that loop pedal when I go to my next patch, it's erased. Which that's okay. What I do like about the RC5 pedal is that each individual loop, you could set its own volume, and then if you're layering down a loop, and you realize, oh my God, I like what I've got here, and I'm going to save it, but now this volume is a little bit louder or softer than the next track I'm going to go to. So each individual you could set to the point where you get it where even though you have to readjust certain volumes, when you go across the threshold there, you could have a more even volume setting, which I think that's really cool. And honestly, in my opinion, after messing with the RC5, I love the RC300. That thing's great because of its foot switch, the built-in volume pedal. I'm sure the RC600 is great. The only thing I'm realizing the issues is with those metal foot switches. I'm sure that I think you put little thimbles across, around it. That would help because they got to come up with a way to protect stuff getting in that foot switch. Because when dirt gets in there, man, it jams it. I don't care how expensive the pedal is. It jams that little metal switch. I don't know why these companies are doing that. I really think they need to spend some time with people like us that out there playing, so they could fully understand, you know. Or if they're gonna make those switches, you know, come up with something that is optional to buy if they want to make extra money. I get it, but at least have something to protect that switch, because you could clean it, but if you know you're in a hurry and if you don't clean it right away, after a while it sticks, man. You know, and it's nothing worse than you paid 1,100, 1,200, 3,000 for your fractal, which I think those are great. Those are really great pedals, and then the switch just start jamming because you didn't have enough time to clean the switch. When we were up in St. Petersburg a couple years ago, a guy had the F9 pedal. It sounded great, man. Oh, did it sound great. And luckily he was playing indoors, but I had talked with him real briefly about the switches, and he even made a comment. He said, yeah, you know, that's the only thing. Because with the Boss, with the Boss pedals, and even with the Behringer, the little plastic Behringer pedals, they're covered. And with the older Digitech pedals that were kind of looking like the Boss pedals, they're covered. The GT1, those little switches in there are covered. Nothing's gonna get in there. The RC300 and the ME80 and the ME70, you know, even though it's kind of it's a plastic, if you're not gonna smash it, which you I don't know why you do that, but that whole foot switching system's covered. You're not gonna get dirt like on these metal switches. It just blows my mind that people don't think that way. But anyways, that's up to them. But see, I don't have to buy their product. See, that's the way around it. But yeah, this guitar is great, man. It's I'm really glad that we got it, because it out of all the guitars I have, tone wise, this thing is great. It's got the most versatility, you know, other than a Strat. And what helps it for me is the out of phase. And you know, again, I've always wanted to have a Les Paul, and I love the BC Rich, and I love, like, you know, the guitars. Still got the BC Rich. Never get rid of that, man. Look at that. And then the Ibanez Artists. The Jackson Kellys are nice. The Jackson Gus G model, those are cool guitars. And the Rhodes Flying V, the Rhodes V, the Jackson Rhodes, those are great guitars, man. But I always wanted a Les Paul. So, anyways, guys, I hope this was a little bit entertaining. You know, um, I'll be putting more things together. I'm dividing up my time with you know, for our gigs and in our other music project that we're involved in, and it's just gonna take a little time to just format that. But it's gonna be worth it. Like I said, when we launch it, we are gonna actually go out there and do it. I don't. If I record it, it's gonna be on our camera, and I won't release anything until I'm, you know, satisfied with what we're doing here with this other project. But when we do, and you do see it, you guys are gonna say, "Oh, that makes sense, going that route." It really does, because one way of having to avoid playing nothing but covers, because like I said, man, I just I can't. It's not that I can't learn the songs; it's that I'm sick of hearing them. You know, I mean, sometimes I get sick of hearing mine because I'm playing them all the time. But the difference is they're my songs. You know, it's I could change what I want, and it's an extension of me. I think that's what it is. You know, my friend Gordy, that paints. He's a great drummer. He paints and draws and all that. And you know, the thing with in the world of art, it looks like um, no one goes up to people unless they could do what's called commissions. Hey, could you do a portrait, you know, of my baby or my pet or whatever, you know? But no one goes up to, if you go to an art show and, hey, could you paint like this guy paints over there, and could you paint like that guy? They don't do that. You know, everyone's expected to have their own individuality. But with music, it's other than, you know, if you're gonna do your own thing and be firm on doing your own thing, that's the only way that you can get away with it. And then, of course, if you got money, if you're gonna do ticket sales and that. But on average, to a lot of places, they want you to do these covers like, oh, I don't even want to listen to that song. Yeah, but I'm gonna be a full-time musician. Yeah, you could be a full-time musician hating what you're doing. If you want to do it, go that way. If look, there are people that love doing that, and I give them a lot of credit because they do keep the music alive. But when you see the people that they really don't like to do that, but they're forcing themselves, and then you try to drag me in on that, I'm like, man, you want to force yourself, you go ahead and you do that. You know, I think that's what's really cool with the open jams and the open mics. When you're not throwing money at it, you got this creative freedom. You know, which is kind of cool. But I mean, again, I'm not gonna knock it. It's just not for me. That's all. I'm not a seafood eater, and I live in Florida. We got a lot of seafood down here, man. My wife, she loves it. But like the salmon, oh, she's gonna try to get me to try salmon. I probably will. See, I had a bad experience in high school, man, with the filet-o-fish. If anyone remembers that. Oh boy, I got sick off of that thing, and I'm like, ooh, and that fishy smell, like, oh, I can't. But if you have it cooked right, Deb tells me, well, it's like gator tails. You can have gator tail down here, and I never tried it. Deb has, and she said it almost tastes like chicken. You know, I said, well, maybe I'll get brave enough to eat that. I'll try it, maybe. Anyways, my whole point is, yeah, everyone's entitled to their opinion, you know. So, anyways, my friends, I'm only gonna stay on for an hour here, and I got other things I have to get done, and probably set some of the volumes on my RC5 for Monday's gig. But I just be so excited to reveal what we're doing, and like I said, you guys are gonna say, yeah, that makes sense. Anyways, my friends, I hope everyone had a happy New Year and had a very Merry Christmas, and stay strong, man. Life could throw you a lot of curves. It's throwing me a curve, but I'll talk about that when I'm ready to talk about that. Um, and you learn how to regroup and reform. We all are getting older, and we're all experiencing the different cycles of our life. You know what I mean? So we have to learn how to embrace it, not take it as a negative, and learn how to pull back a little bit, do a little what I call R&D, research and development, and put the pieces, rearrange them, and get back out there and do it again, man. So, anyways, my friends, thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Old man Dan, I'm so glad that you're back in action. And Randy Tritt, I'm glad that you're making progress with it. I know it's a tough loss, losing two parents, man. You're gonna get through it, and we're all here for you, man. It's not just we all get busy, but doesn't mean that I'm not around as much as I used to. Doesn't mean I don't think about you guys. I do, and always hope and pray that everything is well with y'all. Anyways, guys, till Monday, you stay strong, safe, and true. We'll be going live from 6 to 9. Hopefully, won't get rained out. If we do, I might do a really quick live thing just to get back on live. But we'll keep you posted. Anyways, guys, have a great evening. Until then, stay strong, safe, and true. Rock on, my friends, and God bless you. We love you all. Take care.